What is going on, guys? It is Os with Gone in 60. Welcome back to the channel. Today I have my 2020 Ford Mustang Bullitt behind me. I've owned it now for about 3 months, and I'm gonna share the things that I love most about this car with you guys. If you guys have anything else that you enjoy or like about your Mustang, or maybe just Mustangs in general, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys like. Maybe I left something off the list, but I've put a lot of thought into this list, a lot of things that I enjoy about my car, and I can't wait to share them with you guys. It is raining, so I apologize about that. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. However, I'm gonna jump into the list. Let me guys know what you think of it. Let me know, are there things that you would add, things you'd take away? And with that, guys, you know what time it is. Let's jump into it. Things that I really enjoy about my 2020 Ford Mustang Bullitt is honestly the looks of it. I feel the looks of this compared to other Mustangs is actually better. There are things with the Bullitt that you don't get on other Mustangs. Like you'll notice up here in the front, there is no Ford emblem, no pony emblem. The grille is a lot different. I personally think it looks like just really menacing. I love the look of this. You'll notice here on the side, there are no 5.0 badges. On the back, it doesn't say GT. It says Bullitt back here. So I love the looks and appearance of the Mustang, especially this one. I just think it's a lot different. It's a lot more unique. They do have the kind of the chrome trim around the windows. Some people love that, some people hate it. I actually don't mind it. The wheels at first honestly weren't my favorite, and they're still okay. However, these are unique and custom. They do have the pony emblems there on the center rim cap. So that is one thing that I love about the Mustang, is especially with the Bullitt edition, is just how awesome it looks, and especially from the front is probably my favorite, and just how it looks. I just love the stance, and I love how that looks. I apologize, my car's a little bit dirty, but hopefully you guys get the gist. The exhaust on this car, guys, it sounds so good. Let me share some clips with you guys of just the exhaust on the Mustang Bullitt, but it sounds amazing. Something to note about the Bullitt is you're not gonna buy a GT Mustang and it won't sound exactly like the Bullitt. The Bullitt is just tuned just a little bit different. It uses some different intake manifolds from the Shelby, and I'll cover all of that in a different video, but this car is tuned a little bit. It resembles kind of the sound off of the movie Bullitt back in the 60s. So let me share with you guys some exhaust clips, and hopefully you guys will understand why I love this exhaust so much. One of the things that really attracted me to this car and what I love about it is the digital gauge cluster. If you guys haven't seen the digital gauge cluster on the Fords, guys, that is the way of the future. Analog gauges, they're just going to do away with them. They're going to go digital, and that's one thing that I've just loved about this car. I have some clips that I'll throw in here, hopefully that you guys can see, but essentially with the digital gauge cluster is depending on the drive mode you're in, normal, track, sport, snow, wet mode, whatever it is, it changes the layout of the gauges. Now, you can change your setup to always remain kind of on the same layout of the gauges you want, not on the drive modes in particular. However, you can change so many things. You can change the colors, you can change the layout of it. Like Ford, honestly, I think has the best thing that they've done with their cards is the digital gauge cluster. I didn't like it at first until I actually drove one. So if you guys haven't driven one and seen the digital gauge display in action, guys, it is amazing. It is next level, and it looks awesome. So let me show you guys just real quick kind of what I'm talking about. All right, so you guys can see here, we're just a normal. We go over here to Sport Plus, it changes. We go up here to Track, it changes. Drag Strip changes a little bit. And then here, there's Drag Strip. So Drag Strip and Track's the same. Snow and Wet, you guys can see it kind of goes back to kind of the stock. But however, with the digital gauge cluster, there's so many options in here, guys, and I'll share everything. You can change your exhaust mode, so it starts up in quiet mode when you get in it. You can have my mode, so it saves your mode. You have track apps, you have performance shift indicators, you have launch control, rev match, gauges, my color. You can come in here and I can say, you know what? I want these to be green, and I want the secondary to be purple. So it changes it up right there on the spot, and hopefully you guys can see that okay. But the lighting in this car is one of just my favorite things. You can kind of see around here with these gauges for the oil and the vac, it'll change these colors. It changes the colors down here. It changes the colors in here, and it changes the colors in your cup holders. Now, for the Ford Mustang Bullitt, it doesn't have the illuminated door sills, so unfortunately, just down here, it's just kind of the standard Bullitt. But on the GT Premium Mustangs, the color changes down there too. So one of the things that I just think Ford hit it out of the park with is the digital gauge cluster. I am someone who likes to tinker. I like messing around with colors. I'm actually really big into that, and probably one of my most favorite things about the car. Another thing that I think is just really cool about the car, and it kind of goes along the lines of the exhaust, but it's a little bit different. So this car has auto rev match, and for those of you that don't know what auto rev match is, essentially it always keeps the car in the power band when you shift gears. So this is a manual transmission. So instead of trying, sometimes when you shift a gear and the RPMs drop, a lot, this will actually rev up the car every time you downshift it. So when you're at a stoplight, I apologize, it might be really annoying to a lot of people, but every time I shift from fourth to third to second to first, you can hear the car rev up. And the exhaust of this car, I know I've said it, but I love the exhaust of this car and just how it sounds. And I haven't driven a car that sounds like this, that has the pops, that has the bangs, and it does sound really awesome. It is a feature you can turn off. It's not for everyone. However, when you are shifting with this car, and I'm not a fan of shifting this car just based on the transmission, however, the rev match feature on this car is amazing. And I know manuals are really kind of going away in a lot of instances. I guess I shouldn't say going away, but more and more manufacturers aren't putting manuals in their cars. I do appreciate the car manufacturers that do put manual transmissions in their cars. And honestly, at some point in the near future, I'm sure I'll own an automatic. They're just faster, and there's a lot of reasons why they're different. However, for the manual transmission guys and the rev match, it's awesome. And if you guys haven't experienced it and you guys like driving a manual car, give it a go, because it is just awesome. And I'll throw some clips in here for you guys so you know exactly what I'm talking about on auto rev match and what it does. One thing that I really enjoy about my Ford Mustang is the size of it. This car fits better in my garage. It's easier to park. It's easier to daily drive. It is easier to get around town. And I know that's kind of crazy, especially when you're buying a sports car or muscle car or whatever. But, the one thing with my Challengers, the front end of it was really, really long. It was kind of hard to park. It still handled very, very well. However, I love the size of the Mustang, and it just is easier to maneuver and get around town. It's easier to get in and out of places. It's easier to park. And that's one thing that I've really enjoyed about this Mustang is just the size of it. And, just taking it on corners and different things. Like, it does a really good job. And so I've really appreciated the size of the car, how it handles and how it drives. Obviously this has the Magnaride suspension. So honestly, it does really good, on bumps and different things. It does have some noises that I've talked about that kind of come up, but overall the ride quality is actually really smooth, and it's really easy to maneuver and park, and that's something that is really nice and something I enjoy. Apart from a few things on the interior, we're just going to maybe ignore this section right here, but as you looked at kind of the brushed aluminum, as you looked at, obviously, the Ford Mustang Bullitt, we have the Highland green stitching up here, the digital gauge display. The interior of the car actually looks really good. Obviously the Bullitt plate right there. I'll say the interior of this car actually looks pretty modern and actually looks pretty good. I think Ford's done a good job. This is really nice right here. It's stitched and it's leather. And I don't mind this right here. I think that looks fine. But with the lighting and everything, I think Ford's done a really good job with it. And also these seats. So these seats, guys, they're a little bit different. I don't know any GT Mustangs that come with these seats. Now, if you look at the new Mach 1, these seats are in it, and there's just kind of like a little color stripe across the top. I've seen some other Mustangs with the leather seats. The fabric get kind of, not fabric, but the leather get really loose, and they just don't look as good on the GT Premiums. I believe these seats are also in the Shelby, but I've not seen these seats in Ford GT. So if I'm wrong on that, guys, let me know. But these seats are actually extremely comfortable. They hug you really well. They're heated. They're ventilated. If you do go with the Recaro option, you obviously lose those two features. But I feel Ford's done a really good job on the interior of these cars. I think they look really nice, other than kind of maybe the center display. Maybe remove some of the Sync branding down here below, but I think overall Ford's done a really good job on the interior of this car, and I think they really did a good job compared to their competitors. I think they're better than the Camaros. I think there's some things that Dodge does a little bit better on theirs, and I think there's some things that Ford does better on theirs, and I'll share with you guys an upcoming video of what those differences are. But overall, Ford did a really good job, I think, on the latest refresh on their interiors. One other thing that's really cool that I like is the Ford app. So with the Ford app, it actually can show you your car's location. It can show you your tire pressure. It can show you how many miles to your next oil service. It can share with you how many miles the car has. It can send you reports. So the Ford app, you can actually earn different incentives based on, you know, trading it in for service and oil change. And I apologize, guys, it keeps raining really hard. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. However, the Ford app, I'll cover it in a later video, but there's a lot of cool things that you can get from your phone, and you literally could be sitting anywhere. When I had my car detailed, I could tell if those guys were driving it down the road. I could tell if it was sitting there stationary. So I thought that app was really cool, just to be able to kind of track those things and just making sure that my car is safe. And so I'll share with you guys all the features on that app at a later time. But that's another thing I think Ford does a really good job with. This car doesn't have as much torque as my Scat Pack did. However, I feel the torque is very linear, and it'll really put you back in your seat even at high speeds. I felt with my Scat Pack, it just had that low end punch that was awesome to throw you back. This kind of just gradually kind of does it. And one thing that's really cool is just how high revving this car goes. This car goes to 7,500 RPMs, and as someone who loves shifting manual, to be able to take that to the red line, man, I love it. I just wish this car had the Tremec transmission that my Challenger did and could keep the RPMs and everything the same, because shifting this car up around 7,500 is just awesome. Just to let it hang out there and just get up to just those high RPMs is intoxicating. And also this car's top end, I'm not going to share with you guys maybe how fast I have or haven't gone in this car, but this car pulls very, very well up at the top end. When you get up around 70 miles an hour, this car wants to have some fun. And that's something that I've really enjoyed and loved about it. But just this Coyote motor and how high it revs and how the torque is just kind of displaced evenly and what it can do on the top end is really fun if you guys haven't experienced that in a Coyote. All right, guys, so that does it for me. I would have closed this video outside of the car. However, it is starting to come down pretty heavily outside. But hopefully you guys were able to, you know, enjoy today's video. These are some things that I love about my Ford Mustang, and they're unique to me. They're things that I like, that I care about. But I'd love to hear from you guys. What are things that you guys like with the Mustang platform? What are some things maybe you don't like? If you agree with this, give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think. But guys, I enjoy my Ford Mustang Bullitt. There obviously are some things that I don't like about this car, but hopefully you guys could sense my enthusiasm and passion for things that I love, because there are a lot of things that I do love about this car. That does it for me, guys. That's the end of today's video. We will catch you on the next one, and I have some awesome content coming for you guys. So with that, guys, have an awesome day, and we'll catch you on the next video.